Here are 10 abilities you are using horribly wrong in your ranked games. You probably already know that you're supposed to use Gekko's Dizzy ability for information as well as blinding enemies. However, we tend to notice a lot of Gekko players throwing Dizzy high and far in an attempt to try and get more information. What makes Gekko's ability so strong is the fact that you can pick them up and reuse them in just 10 seconds, meaning they'll be up and ready multiple times around easily. So throwing them at enemies into areas where you can't pick them up is a huge waste of their full potential. An easier way to use Dizzy is to throw her straight upwards in areas she can still see the enemies. A great example is right next to Switch on A site, where throwing her straight upwards will allow her to get information on A main, and the same concept applies here on B link on Pearl. Just throw Dizzy straight up and you can blind enemies that are pushing up into B main. You can just pick Dizzy right back up afterwards and you're good to go. One of the most important tasks for a Sova drone is to clear close corners to allow your team to avoid close range shotguns. But doing a weird 360 maneuver with a drone when clearing these 50-50 angles is extremely inefficient and could have your drone avoid it while you check the opposite corner, putting you and your teammates in danger. Don't worry though, there happens to be a way where you can check both corners at the same time without having to slow your drone down at all. When entering areas with a close corner, just look downwards with your drone and fly up to max range. It gives you a wider view to the left and right, allowing you to clear a corner without actually turning at all. Try it out for quick and easy corner checks when playing Sova to get more value out of your drone. The next ability is Killjoy's Turret, and this time it's more about wasting it rather than using it wrong. The turret is an incredibly useful ability, as it's totally free and can get information on anyone in its line of sight very easily. Far too often though, we see players holding more advanced angles than their turret can cover. By positioning yourself ahead of the turret, it means that you'll take contact and expose enemies' presence way before your turret ever can, adding to the level of danger and making the whole setup completely pointless. What you'll want to do is play in cover and peek off your turret's contact, or if you're intent on pushing and taking more space, recall your turret so that you have it ready sooner when you next need it. As a general rule of thumb, you should avoid playing it in front of your Sentinel's utilities, since at that stage, there's of course not much point to it. But no, we didn't say never nor always. Every now and then you should try baiting your enemies with a passive turret sound. And with an aggressive Killjoy, it's not something they should expect. And that's because it's not smart, but you know, mind games and stuff. Now before I continue on with the rest of these, I quickly want to mention our brand new course with Yay that has officially been released. If you want to learn from the best, quite literally in this case, we highly recommend that you check out Yay's course on optimal Valorant training. It's available over on our website ProGuides.com, and for just $8 a month, you can get unlimited access to that, as well as our other pro courses, our boot camps, and there's even one-on-one coaching. Try it out if you're interested. Raze's grenades are some of the most straightforward and strongest bits of utility in the entire game. However, most people still aren't getting the maximum value out of them and have a tendency to just throw them in the direction of enemies whenever they see them. The paint shells are at their most effective when thrown at enemies who are trapped in an enclosed space. That's the reason Raze is so strong on tighter close range maps like Split. You should be using Raze's grenades to punish enemies who put themselves into tough situations. Areas like Mailroom on B Heaven and the walkout from B Main after the attacking team has walled across are perfect for catching groups of enemies clustered together for some easy kills. Even if it doesn't finish off the opponents, you could find yourself dealing upwards of 300 damage with a single bit of free utility. So use it when it counts most, instead of yeeting it randomly at the start of the round. Neon's Relay Bolt ability, more commonly known as her stun, is a fantastic tool for stunning large areas and picking up free kills when following up. But there's where the problem lies. Most people don't follow up using Neon's stuns. Remember that when you're stunning an enemy, it doesn't really help in any way unless you're able to fight against them when they're stunned. It might stall them for a short while, but definitely not enough to the extent that you can use it in a place of a molly. So to get the most out of the Relay Bolt, you should only be using it when yourself or your teammate are ready to follow up and get the kills. Just throwing it at the enemies without the intention of finishing them off does the ability a huge disservice, and it can leave Neon without much else to enter a site if the push fails. So if you're using a stun, make sure you're running in. And the opposite holds true as well. If you aren't sure you want to commit to a site, save your stuns for when a real fight is coming. The second Gekko ability on the list is Wingman. Wingman is able to essentially have two abilities in one. He can both clear areas acting as kind of a drone and also run in to plant the spike. The problem we see is that there tends to be a lot of focus on the latter over the former. You don't want to be sending in Wingman to plant the bomb if you haven't cleared the site first, since it means that he'll only just be instantly killed and drop the spike in an open position. So even if you're the spike carrier as Gekko, it's probably more useful most of the time to use Wingman's drone as a stun ability rather than his plant ability. Once he clears the site, then it's easy to just get the bomb down yourself. Wingman could also stun an enemy quite easily, giving your team a sitting duck to follow up on site. All in all, Wingman's angle clearing ability is more useful than his bomb planting ability in a majority of cases. So don't be too quick to send him out to die with a spike until you're sure you're able to protect him. He is your little buddy after all. Most players are comfortable using Phoenix's flashes and molly effectively, but an often ignored yet valuable part of his kit is his blaze ability, also known as his wall. There's a habit among Phoenix mains to save the wall for when you need rapid healing and not really use it in other scenarios. However, the wall can be a very effective tool for taking space and breaking up sightlines. It's functionally similar to Neon's double wall, except it deals damage and is of course just one wall. In theory, it should be used in a similar way to get a fast entry onto a bomb site and temporarily cut off the defender's line of sight. By popping up a Phoenix wall when you walk into a site, you're not only giving yourself a corridor with which to enter, but also a convenient area to throw a flash through and pick off unsuspecting defenders. So start using the wall to take some free space rather than using it for emergencies only. You are much more likely to win rounds if you're taking over the map. Yoru's ultimate is a fantastic repositioning tool and the best reconnaissance ability in the game. You're able to run anywhere you want and throw out utility with total impunity. The trouble is that Yoru players like to use their ultimates just for themselves for a chance at a free kill or to outplay an individual instead of using it for their team. It's a very handy way to clear out entire sites and get information on defenders' positions. Not just that, but you can throw flashes at enemies or distract them with clones or fake TP so that your team can follow up more easily. So the advice we're going to give is to start treating Yoru's ultimate as a superpowered drone from time to time as well. You can continue to use it to surprise opponents with outplays as well, of course. We just recommend not doing it every round since even a good early round pick is not often useful as clearing out a whole site. As a bonus tip, the dimensional drift is especially useful when trying to drive Vipers out of their ultimates to finish them off. Just stand right next to the Viper and her ultimate and tell your team to spray your position and there you have it, a free Viper killing tool. Sky Seekers are one of the best information gathering ultimates in the game. However, the mistake that many players make is not knowing when to use it. It's a fairly situational ultimate that thrives in those mid-round situations where you don't know exactly where the other team is positioned and you need to make a decision on whether to rotate or not. By sending the Seekers out in say a 3v3 where you still have to push a site, you can find out where the bulk of the opponents are located and head the other way so that you can take a 3 versus 1 or potentially even an empty bomb site. It gives the ultimate far more round winning potential when used this way as opposed to using it at the start or end of the round. Sending all 3 through a tight corridor at the very start and having them all spam down in a matter of seconds might seem super appealing to some, but trust me when I say that there is indeed a better way. Think of it as a tool to help you make a decision on the best course of action in the mid-round, rather than a miracle cure for finishing off enemies, or opening up a spike site at a minute 40. That way you'll get much more value and you may even start to think it's a bit strong. Lastly, Sage's heal is great for getting teammates ready to take more fights when low on health. The heal regains up to 100 HP for allies and just 30 for Sage herself. Maybe you can see where we're going with this. Second grade math tells us that it's far more useful to heal allies than it is to heal yourself when you're playing as Sage. So if it comes down to a choice between a teammate and yourself when you're both on 1 HP, make sure to pick your teammate since they'll be able to tank more than a single extra bullet after a heal, whereas you'll still be pretty low. It can be pretty sucky to have to heal the 111 Reyna on your team, but you gotta do what's best for the team. And just like that, we're wrapping it up with our list of 10 abilities that you're using wrong. Let us know in the comments what you'd like to see a video on next, and as always, leave a like and comment to see more just like this one.